Goblins, goblins, goblins. It is Monday morning, Labor Day. I'm the only one awake so far, so I think I'm going to have some time to record this. Also, the game that I'm going to be talking about was Friday, so hopefully I remember everything. Also, I have a bit of a cold, so I might be sniffing, and that is going to be annoying, but we will get through it. So here is the setup. This was a 2250 dominate against Varangur. Down there at the bottom, that's me, Adam. It's not easy being green goblins. At the top, my opponent, Joe. You reave what you sow, Varangur. Just as a quick reminder, because clearly not everyone watching a Kings of War battle report knows what Kings of War's number 4 scenario, Dominate, is. The objective is to get units into the middle within 12 inches of the center point, as marked there, at the end of the game, and we'll score them. So that's what we're going for, and you can see the terrain laying around. We've got a couple of forests, one piece of blocking terrain right there in the middle, 2 hills on the right, height 1 obstacle, and a height 0 difficult terrain near my starting area. And let's take a quick look at the armies. So, down at the bottom, so that's sort of my main front line. I have a regiment of rabble, a horde of rabble, Grogger's goons, and another regiment of rabble. In between them all, in the little gaps, we have a bigot on the left, 2 whizzes in the middle, and a bigot on the right. Grogger on the right. The bigot has the Loot of Insatiable Darkness, so he'll be able to shoot some Bane Chants off from over there. The whizzes in the middle, one has Bane Chant, one has Drain Life. They're in there to support those hordes. My second line, my heavy hitters, I've got a Giant, 1 Mincer, War Trombone, and a Troll Bruiser. I overloaded that left flank. I've got a Maw Beast pack. He's going to be out there chaffing away for me. For my 2 Troll Hordes and a Troll Bruiser. Flyer protection. This game, I stuck a regiment of Fleabag Riders back there. They're sort of on Overwatch. They're going to see what's going on. And then finally, I've got a little bit of shooting going on. My horde of Spitters and Grogger's Great Lobber, who is conveniently positioned to stare at that Chimera, or King on a Chimera up there. So across the field, we have sort of this double flank situation going on of, who are those? Tundra Wolves, Reavers, and Mounted Suns on both the left and the right. In the middle, they have once again another Tundra Wolves and Reavers. Instead of mounted, they have just regular Sons of Korgan. And then the 3 heroes here, King on a Chimera. I lied. The one next to the King on a Chimera is Magus Conclave, so War Engine, and then a Magus in the middle. Magus, however you say that. And what do I think about the deployment right off the bat? So I'm pretty happy with how I deployed in general. Sort of overloading that left flank, I thought was a little different from how I have been playing this army the last couple of times. The terrain was perfect for it. I would have made a slight change, though, in the middle. I need to pay a little bit more closer attention to terrain, because that height 0 terrain on the left and that obstacle on the right is going to slow down those 2 regiments, which I'm trying to use as chaff. And even though my opponent, Joe, up there doesn't have a lot of shooting, just his magic, I really would have preferred for them to be in front of my hordes. So I think I would have been better off shifting those in, shifting the hordes back, and kind of splitting that back line with the Mincer and the Trombone, and kind of sticking that Giant as a bit of a support chaff in the middle between those 2 regiments. I then would not have been impeded as I just raced to the middle and tried to just hold that territory. For Joe, his deployment, I think, was multi-purpose, so not horrible. And I think it's important to note that he had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 drops to my 19. So I was able to throw down 6 or 7 things after him. And I believe the majority of that left flank was a surprise, as well as my War Machine and maybe my my Fleabag's rider. So he couldn't react to that stuff. So clearly I have that left flank a little bit more overloaded. But despite all of that, I would have taken those Tundra Wolves and put a line of them right in the middle. Because I've got way more units and he needs to get into the middle. So I would have stuck them all into the middle there. At the double march those suckers straight in to just chaff and hold up my lines so that he could just fill up that dominate circle with the rest of his units. And then, still came in on the edges with the mounted sons, sort of a little mini flank charges, as, I was clearly just going to rush up the middle myself. And I think that would have gunked me up and maybe put him in a better position. But who knows if he wasn't in a better position. Let's go ahead and see how the game went. So Goblin turn 1, what did I do? Pretty simple. I moved everything forward. Nothing fancy whatsoever. My rock globber, my spitters, and all my individuals, they were able to shoot at things. And it was relatively uneventful. I got a wound, I think, on just one of the mounted sons. So my shooting, underwhelming. Varangur turn 1. A little bit of the same. So definitely, even though he had some more speed on me, he had a bunch of speed 9 Tundra Wolves, speed 8 mounted sons. Joe measured where my charge lines were and moved up to them. So a little bit cautious from the heavier hitting army. The other thing to note is, even though those Tundra Wolves do not fit past that forest on the right flank, he's just going to go for it with those wolves. So he can't have to double all the way through it, but he's sneaking those wolves around. I think it's important to note the engineering prowess here, that we were able to balance those mounted sons up there without falling. No broken units today. Or not today, I guess that was Friday. Joe does not like my mincer. They scare him. So he targeted the mincer and I believe shot at my Mobby's back. So the line on the left must have been, where the trolls and everything could charge, not the Mobby's back. So he was within 12 inches, within charge range there, but he was going to hit it with that breath weapon anyway. Turn 1 Varangur got my mincer off the table. I wanted it there so I could get a feel for how well now just a single one does in my army, but it's gone, so I don't know. Okay, turn 2. For good old green goblins here, what am I doing? I'm advancing forward again. As you can see, when I talked about my problem on deployment, my hordes in the middle didn't actually move. I just kept them there, so I'm still only staying on my half of the table, and I moved my regiments up to protect the flanks of those hordes. If I would have been able to get even further into his table side, I really felt like I would have been able to control the scenario a lot better, but I, just because of those terrain pieces on the outside that my regiments of rabble were dealing with, I couldn't do that. So they just stayed put. My individuals, my heroes moved up, my regiments moved up to block the side. Ultimately, on that left flank, I decided I was a little overloaded, so I'm starting to shift those troll hordes to the right while my Mobby's pack is ready to chaff up that unit of Tundra Wolves and Reavers on the left, And the Troll Bruiser's over there too, sort of protecting. I see that he flew his King on a Chimera off to the left, so you can see that I turned my my Fleabag Riders, right? Like I said, they're on Overwatch. They have a 20-inch range, so anywhere in my back line, I will be able to charge. So I'm watching his King on a Chimera there. I'm ready for it. On the right side, I moved my trombone back a little bit. I did not want to lose it on Varangur turn 2 because I think he would have been within charge distance of those mounted suns. What did I shoot at? Well, the Rock Lobber's one job this whole game is King on a Chimera, so we shot at him again, and I'm just taking pot shots at different things. I focused a little bit of my magic and some of my individuals in the middle on that beautifully illustrated unit of Tundra Wolves in the red box. I'm giving away what happened because they're not there anymore. But I got rid of them, which is nice, right? I'm playing the scenario. They were in the middle. They were going to potentially cause me problems with protecting that 12-inch diameter or radius circle. So they're gone. I'm happy about that. I did a little bit of damage to those mountain suns on either side, so I know they're going to be coming into combat soon. I think a little weakened, I'll be okay. Rock Lobber, 2 turns in a row, misses. Varangur turn 2. So while Joe was being a little bit cautious on turn 1, it's paid off, and what is that? 4 charges declared on this turn. Sorry again for sniffing. And in addition to the 4 charges, he has those Tundra Wolves sneaking in there on the right. Now looking at the flank of my Spitters, and he dropped his King on a Chimera in that little wedge that I accidentally left open. And he's not charging because he's on the side, but he set himself up for a breath weapon attack. The one other thing to note, since it was purposeful, so I was happy that it happened, is that last turn when I moved my Troll Bruiser, or rather actively decided not to move him, I knew that if he charged the Maulbeast pack, whatever, I would have been fine with that. If he charged the Troll Bruiser, it was going to require a hindered charge, so those Tundra Wolves were going to lose their Thunderous and have a -1, and I did not care about that. And that's what he ended up going for, so whatever, I don't care. I'm a little scared with that charge against the Trolls on my left flank. I didn't, I wish I could have blocked it a little bit better with the regiment of Rabble, but like I said, I wasn't able to position them really where I wanted either direction because they were coming off of that difficult terrain. And he did a little switcheroo on the right there, a little crisscross applesauce charge, hit in the front of my goons, Grogger's goons, with his mounted sons, and then the infantry sons going after that poor rabble on the obstacle. There is that mess on the left there. You can see the mounted sons coming in, and where the King on a Chimera is positioned. It looks like his base is on that difficult terrain. Just know that it's not. We just couldn't fit him with the giant head. Also, it might be an elf, but that's just a model that he had. It's not really an elf. Okay. Shooting. I told you, breath weapon on those Maulbeast pack for the second turn in a row. Magnus Conclave shooting at some of my rabble. And I don't know if he shot with just the regular Magus Wizard guy, or if he at the doubled there. I didn't really show that movement. It's an important movement right in the center of the table. He threw away, he sacrificed his wizard to protect the flank of his mounted sons, right? Because my Rabble Horde there is in the flank. That Rabble Horde, I didn't mention earlier, does have Brew of Strength, and they are the sneaky stabber formation still, so they have crushing 1, they have vicious, only hitting on 5s, but in a flank that would have been doing a ton of damage, but I can't wheel and come in there and attack now because that individual's in the way. So I'd have had to do a front charge on the individual, and then, whatever, overrun straight ahead, and I don't think I would have been able. I would have had to roll a 6 to get to anything after that. So it was a good defensive positioning on Joe's part there. Really smart. But I think he was at the double, so he wasn't able to shoot. He routed my Maul Beast back with the breath weapon. Two breaths in a row, 20 dice. Yeah, makes sense. They're off the table. What about his charges? So yeah, I wasn't worried about the Troll Bruiser, only 1 damage. Oh, and the tone of the game is set there. His charge against my trolls on the left. 11 wounds, double 1s. Look at that little double 1 image I built or made there. That hurt Joe. It hurt him a lot, and it was happy for me. My left flank did not fall apart on turn 2. I was happy. It was, it would have been my fault if it did, because I left those trolls within charge range, because I was like, oh, I'm just going to shift them out to the middle. No, that was a silly move, a little bit of a mistake, and I survived it, so I'm happy. In the middle, 11 damage, 8 damage, got rid of the regiment of rabble. I think that's all expected. So I can't complain, I was protecting my flanks, doing all that stuff. I'm cool. I'm cool with everything that happened there. So all his units bounced off. This is what it looks like at the end of Varangur turn 2. Goblin's turn. Now I get to answer. What do I do here? What is that? 6 different charges. Yeah, come get some. I don't think there's anything exceptionally surprising here. Like I told you, my overwatching Fleabag Riders, they charged right into what looks like the side of his king, but it's actually a rear charge. Again, the model is just very, very big, so we had to turn them that way just to fit. Maybe it was a good thing for me that Joe took out my Maul Beast pack, because it allowed me to triple charge those mounted sons in the middle, right? 2 troll hordes in the front, 1 rabble in the side there, rabble regiment. That does not look good for that mounted sons. They double 1 their attack, and now they're going to pay for it. In the middle, I did take the bait of just going after that Magus. Why not? My giant, who through 3 turns here hasn't really done a whole lot. He's sort of going to be he's acting as support. Sorry again for sniffing. He's moving to support that right side there. That's where I've deemed him necessary. And Grogger's goons regen 5. They regen 5 of those wounds, which is really gives him a good staying power. So I'm happy. And a few more little shifts on the right side there. Just getting ready for those Reavers coming in, and what am I going to do about those wolves? So, in ranged combat, I threw a couple Bane Chants out, or attempted to. Rabble on the left and the Grogger's Goons on the right. Poor Great Lobber can't target the Chimera. I mean, sure, he's in combat, but I think he was only 11 inches away as well. I could see all the way across the table and target those Reavers. I think it was like 46 inches or something. And I think I was able to, we decided I could draw a straight line. My dotted line clearly goes over my horde there, but I could catch the corner of it over like the obstacle, the stone wall. And Trombone was able to shoot those sons in the middle, and I knew I wasn't going to kill him, but hey, let me start chipping away. And then the Spitters, they're making a gamble here. Instead of moving or anything like that, it might not look like it in the picture. You could see that we put down a little corner angle thing. And they do catch a little bit of that front frontage of those Tundra Wolves, so I was able to shoot there. And would you look at that? I did only 2 wounds, got them off the table. The spitters, protected themselves. My shooting everywhere else, garbage. Well, I drained life in the middle and did 2 wounds to those Suns, healed back another 2 wounds off of Grogger's goons. So, they originally had 11. They healed for 7, down to only 4 wounds after this turn. That's pretty cool, right? I'm happy about that. That's a nice little synergy working there. And both my Bane Chants were successful. And did those Bane Chants lead to me doing a lot of damage? Boom! Look at that. 3 more units routed this turn in combat. Countercharging Troll Bruiser. I did, 2 wounds maybe? 2-ish, 3-ish wounds. I don't really know, but it was enough to rout him. Those Mounted Suns didn't stand a chance, right? Was that 36 attacks coming from those 2 Troll Hordes, 24 coming from the Bane Chanted Vicious Rabble. I don't know how much I actually did, but it was more than enough. So yeah, they're off the table. I was expecting it. If it was anything less than that, it would have been karma for the double one that I got to, saved by. But no, they're gone. My charge with the Fleabag Riders only did 3 damage on a rear charge. So what is that? That's 42 attacks, only resulting in 3 damage. But, the one thing I couldn't prevent, and I don't know if Joe, picked his spot on purpose, but, they were hindered. They went over that height 0 terrain. It seems like a piddly amount of damage, but it turns off flying. So they are going to, that king is going to be stuck there. Facing, again, remember, to the left. So yeah, it's useful. I'm okay. I'm happy with that. It's not too bad. But look what happened in the middle as another weird thing. My horde attacking his magus, whatever they're called. 25 attacks, vicious, crushing 1. I did 3 damage. 3 damage. I didn't even waver. Didn't rout. He stayed on the table. He is one tough wizard. But hey, out of his 12 drops, 4 of them are gone. He lost a third of his army on Goblin turn 3. I am happy about that. I think it was at this point that we're saying, all right, I lost, 2 of my chaff units, and he lost 2 of his chaff units, but then both of his mounted sons. This is looking really good for Goblins at this point. That's what everything looks like after my reforming on turn 3. On the left, the leftmost troll unit turned around. The nicely based ones are on the front. So they are facing those reavers. My rabble and the other troll horde are facing the right. They're thinking, scenario, let me get into the middle. And I was okay with that. So we did kind of turn around the King of the Chimera to face where he was originally facing. And I believe the only thing in his view is my Troll Bruiser. And I'm okay with that, right? So if he goes after the Troll Bruiser, I have my Troll Horde staring right at him. And, I'll be okay with that. Otherwise, he's just going to have to countercharge because he can't fly. On the right, I had to tilt my Grogger's goons a little bit, so I was not giving a flank charge to the Suns. I think originally I put Grogger up there, that individual, to sort of block that flank charge, because if he had charged Grogger, it would have been a front charge, then you would have had to overrun forward, not overrun into the side. But now it's like a weird frontage that I think was a missed opportunity for Joe. He might have, since I rotated my unit, he might have been able to charge there and overrun it. So that was a mistake that luckily you could see here in Varangur turn 3. He did not take it. Those sons instead just went right into the front of the goons. This turn, Varangur turn 3, we also see Joe bringing his reavers into combat. Remember, he's Joe, you reave what you sow. And this was the basis of his army. You know, this first time in recent history putting together a Varangur army because he wants to get one ready for a tournament at some point in the future. And he really was liking these Varangur reaver regiments. You know, with whatever they have. What do they have? 25 attacks hitting on 4s, but Thunderous 2 and or they, I don't know what they do. Hit on 3s? I don't know. It doesn't matter. He was really excited about them. They're getting into combat here, and you know, I think that was a good thing for him. His King and a Chimera, he just turned around. That was expected, I guess. That was the worst of the two options for me, better for him. So it makes sense that he did it because I don't have anything facing that king anymore if he messes up my Fleabag Riders, which being 12-14 and I think he's got 10 attacks, crushing 3, doesn't look good for them. That was another mistake on my part. I need to look ahead. I should have said to myself, what is he going to do? Joe's going to counterattack. Maybe I should have left something staring at that king if he does counterattack, so that I could hit him again, turn off his flying, and not have to worry, you know, about that attack. Because look at the backs of all of my hordes in the middle there. I should not be crossing my fingers that the Fleabag Riders are going to survive. Yeah, I don't know. What did Joe do for shooting? Let's see. Went after my giant. You don't like him. Get out of here, giant. He's like Mincer plus, maybe. But did no damage. Oh, that's good for me. He didn't even have cover, right? Because that was height 1, height 4, no cover. He missed with everything, I think. At least that's what my pictures show, that he missed with everything. He could have done other stuff with his guys, maybe. I don't know. I told you it was 3 days ago. I can't remember. But it wasn't too bad. So what does he do? 6 damage with the Reavers against the Trolls on the left. 8 damage with the Reavers against my Horde in the middle. So my Trolls were defense 5. My Horde of Rabble is defense 4. His Reavers had Thunderous 2 and Vicious. I'm pretty sure that out of his 25 attacks against the Trolls, he might have only hit with 7 of them, which he should have hit with, you know, the math tells you almost double that, right? 12 or 13. And then he's still wounded, though, with like 6 of his 7. And his other Reavers attacking my Rabble Horde, yeah, he might have, like, hit with 8 and wounded with all 8. So his attack rolls were well below average. So I came out of that initial combat very luckily, right? I wasn't able to turn off the Thunders for either of those. He kept them out of my charge range, and it could have been a lot worse. That's sort of the moral of the story so far in this game. Is I think I've been playing positioning decently well, a few tiny mistakes, but I'm getting a little bit lucky in this combat. My luck did not pay off with the Fleabag Riders. 7 damage. They were wavered. Right, so he needed to roll a 7 to get him off the table. There's no inspiring over there. Only rolled, a 5 or 6 to waver them. My poor Grogger's goons, though. Oy, off the table. I don't know how much wounds they got. I think the Suns would have, on average, put 12 or so. That's what I think, maybe. What are they? They hit on 3s, 20 attacks. That's 14. They've got crushing 2 against 4, so that's wounding on 2s. Yeah, so maybe 10 to 12 wounds. They already had 4 on them, bringing them up to like 14 or 16. They're 19, or they're Fearless 21. So, and they're right next to a couple, or at least one source of inspiring. So he rolled well there, got them off the table. They're gone. And that is how things look at the end of Varangur turn 3. He had no fear about just turning that Sun's unit straight forward. My rabble horde technically sees the flank, but being the size they are, they can't turn and charge in because they're too big of a footprint. And he wanted to get both my bruiser and my giant in his front arc, and that's what he did. So I take it. I charge them both in there. I throw Grogger to the wolves. I put him out there and say, hey, whatever. You can charge him. You cannot charge the flank of my troll bruiser. My trombone is positioned there, not in a safe spot, but ready to shoot. Or not ready to shoot. I mean, he's able to move and shoot. So he's getting ready to shoot those Reavers, I think. His poor Reavers on the left got double charged. After his poor showing, they're going to get spanked because of that. And my rabble and my troll horde from the left flank, again, those two units, or my left flank, they know the scenario. They are moving into the middle. And I was able to just sneak in there and catch like 2 millimeters of the corner of Joe's Reaver base for a charge. And my rabble horde is charging his Magus. And he's like an inch away because of this weird positioning. They weren't even due to the fact that I couldn't go back all the way. And I don't know, maybe they should have been even. It wouldn't really have mattered. But I'm hitting the Magus. He's already got 3 wounds on him. I'm going to overrun into those Reavers. And wouldn't that be nice? 2 failed attacks from the Reavers, then knock them off the board. I'll be happy. Okay. And so all of my shooting, for the most part, focuses on those Reavers on the right. I do a drain life to the Suns in the middle just to support my two big guys, and I think I throw one Bane Chant on the rabble horde that's charging in the middle there. What happens? Drain life. Hey, I did 1 damage. Okay, I gained 1 life. That helps. I think my Bane Chant was successful. And I did 5 damage to the Reavers on the right. That's with 30 attacks between the trombone and the spitters, and I think Grogger might have even thrown a couple of shots in there. And my rock lobber missed again, so that's okay. 5 didn't feel like a lot, and it did nothing. So, whoops. But, boom, look at that. Joe got me back in the middle. His Magus, whatever it's called, I don't know how to pronounce the name, took 6 damage, brought it up to 9 wounds. He's like a 9/11. So if I rolled anything, or whatever he is, what is he? Let me check. He is a 11/13, yeah. So I'm pretty sure I double wand, or maybe I rolled a 2. I don't know. With 9 wounds on him, he wavered, which shouldn't have happened, but it did. So I was not able to do the double charge into those Reavers, and thus my piddly regiment of rabble only did 3 damage. It turned off their thunderous charge, which is good, but it didn't get them off the table. Reavers on the left, though, yeah, they were toast with the flank charge from the troll bruiser, the regular charge from the trolls. They were hurting. So, oops, I had my cursor in the middle there. That's what it looks like at the end of turn 4. I hear some goblins out of my office door, so if you hear them, I apologize. My troll bruiser and my trolls reform to face both the middle and face his king on a chimera. He's got options with that king, right? He could fly again. He's got a 20-inch range. He sees the back of my troll horde. He sees the back of the rabble. He sees the back of the rabble horde. He might even be able to get to the flank of the giant. I don't know. But anywhere he goes, unless he's running away, I've got trolls guarding those areas, so I'm not too concerned. So what does he pick? He picks the back of the troll horde. Smart, probably. He's thinking his reavers and his sons are going to clean up in the middle, so he goes after my trolls. The reavers on the right, yeah, they take out, or not. Well, we don't know if we take out Grogger, but he goes for Grogger. And, yeah, expected stuff in the middle. His shooting. So he sends, I think, a couple lightning bolts at my Fleabag Riders. Smart. Because with 7 wounds on him, he knows he just needs to trigger another nerve check, and the odds are in his favor. And because he was charging the the giant, I think his Magus Conclave went after the Bruiser. Again, smart move. He did do only the 1 wound he needed on the Fleabag Riders. He triggered a nerve check and rolled what he needed, and they're off the table. So that was two points of scoring and what really could have been a nice support unit. My Overwatch there to try and do something, but they're gone. Only 3 damage on the Bruiser. I'm not too concerned about that. He can potentially heal that back off. What about combat? Uh-oh. So, yeah. Rear charge on my trolls. So it was 30 attacks, hitting on 3s, crushing 3. That's like averaging, 20 or something wounds on a 14-17 unit. Not within any sort of inspiration. It is what it is. I knew some unit was going to get destroyed this turn from that king. Decided to be him, which is, I guess, better for me because it left the king and the chimera within 2 units charge arcs. If he had gone into the middle, I would only have been able to hit him with just the troll horde that he took out. So maybe not the best move. Maybe he was afraid he wasn't going to be able to get the Fleabag Riders off the table, but they would have been hindered, so I don't know. Probably not the best target. But being a horde, they're worth 3 points, so I think that was his motivation. Otherwise, my giant got taken off the table as well, so I lost 3 units. My other horde in the middle is wavered. At the end of turn 4, that's what it looks like. So at the end of my turn 3, I was feeling very good. Varangur got to go 2 times, and they are turning the tide here. I mean, Goblins don't have a lot of staying power, so the longer I'm letting his units stay on the board, the worse things are for me. I got a lot more units, but my strength, my superiority in the middle is crumbling. And now I'm starting to fear what I thought was going to be an easy win might not be as easy as I thought it was going to be. Okay, so I got 2 turns left. What am I doing? Double charging is king. I told you I would. I was able to get the flank of his reavers because I moved straight backwards with my wavered rabble horde. Troll Bruiser is the only option. Let's just go right back into those sons. Let's just try and do some damage. They had 6 on them, so I didn't do a lot of damage in the charges before, but what are they? Sons of Corrigan are, click, 16, 18, right? So I need to do a couple of damage here. 5 is my max. I don't know, a couple damage, and I might be able to take him out on a really good roll. I forgot a yellow arrow, it looks like, but my Spitter Horde, they are booking it for the middle. They had to turn, so they can only move 5 inches, but they're in a position where if they need to go 10 inches, they will get into the center of the table on turn 6. So that's good, right? It was a horde of mine that was left alone for the whole game that's going to get it into the middle. and would only give Joe one turn to react to it being there. I'm still able to shoot with them, right? Hey, look. I missed a slide like I normally did. I shot everything at the Reavers one more time, did 6 wounds to them, routed them. Don't let that dotted line coming from my rock lobber confuse you. I missed. So it was really the spitters hitting on 6s, shooting over the obstacle, which gives cover, so they were actually halving their dice. So I think they rolled 10 dice hitting on 6s. They might have gotten a hit or two. And, they're low defense, though, right? The Reavers are defense 3, so I probably got a wound or 2 from them. My trombone, though, since it's touching the obstacle, did not have to deal with the cover. 10 shots probably did 4, 5 wounds by themselves, totaling up to 6 there. With the previous 5, that was an 11. They're fearless 18. I needed a 7. I was able to get them off the table. And my combat. What? I didn't get anything else off. You would have thought that flank charge with my Bane Chanted Rabble, 24 attacks hitting on 5s. That's what, 1/3 of that is 8. And then damaging on 2s. I should have... Well, I did 9. So they did better than expected. But I forget what I did last turn on them damage-wise. I just rolled poorly, I guess. And did not get the waiver. I didn't get the route. My troll and my troll bruiser, 23 attacks with either crushing 2 or crushing 3 against his king, only got 5 attacks. 5 wounds. It was underwhelming. I did waiver, though, his son's in the middle. That's cool, but does it matter? No. He's both headstrong and fury. So it's like I did nothing. Just 4 damage. The table, besides the Reavers coming off the board, nothing looks that different. That was not the huge swing I wanted back in my favor on turn 6. So what does he do? He says, hey, let's get rid of your Rabble Horde. They're already at 13 wounds. Let's get rid of your Troll Bruiser. That's down 4 points. He's positioning his Magus Conclave and Magus, Magoo, to do some shooting. Look at that, shooting that Rabble. If he executes on everything that he wants, and he's going for my Troll Horde, that would have been 3 points. He would have been taken out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points worth that I could get into the middle, and leaving him with 2 regiments and a monster, which is 5 points. Yikes. But he only does 6 damage to my rabble. They are surviving. And he did execute on almost everything else. Wavered the troll so they cannot get into the middle. Routed my horde. Routed my troll bruiser. Turns 3, 4, and 5 for Varangur. They are taking my stuff off the board. Again, this is Goblin Army. They are not known for their staying power, so this is expected. That's why I have so many units. But I'm once again, with underwhelming recent turns for myself, I am fearing that my, victory is being stolen from me. So I got one more turn to turn things around. And I'm not feeling so bad, because look at those wounds on him. He's got 9 wounds on a Varangur, or the Reaver in the middle. He's got 10 wounds on his sons. He's got 8 wounds on his King on a Chimera. 9 wounds on that Iron Man wizardy guy in the middle. I should be able to do something. So this is what I do. Move everything. Get it in the middle. So Troll Bruiser runs, gets himself into the middle. I did not take an after movement picture, so you're just gonna have to imagine where the units are moving here. Spitters, they get themselves into the middle. I think the Wiz had to slightly move out of the way. And my trombone, he's worth no points, but he just positioned himself a little bit closer to his sons. And only one charge on turn 6. My rabble, they go into the front. He turned his reavers around after destroying my rabble horde to face them. He's going to the front there. All my shooting is going after those sons. Again, don't let the dotted line from the rock lobber confuse you. He missed. But between my trombone and, either some wizards, I don't know who else shot at him. My spitters couldn't shoot because they were going at the double. I did 4 more damage, and I routed his sons. Good. Get them off the table. My 1 combat. Oh, look at that. I did 4 damage with my that has a confusing arrow. Look at that, spinning back and forth. 4 damage to the reavers with a drain life, because again, they're in combat, so it's the only thing that could hit them. Who did I heal? Oh, I healed the rabble. And the rabble must have done 4 more damage, it says. Was that an estimate or real? I don't know. I can't remember. Oh, I think it was real. I think his dice stayed there. So I did 8 damage to those reavers this turn, got them off the table. There we go. This was the swing back in my favor that I was looking for. Got rid of both of his regiments, and that Drain Life actually has been pretty useful for me this game. Bringing that rabble regiment from 7 wounds down to only 3 wounds. They might be able to last through Varangur turn 6. So this is what it looks like. Ignore those Varangur units up in the upper right-hand corner. The only thing that Joe has left are his 3 heroes. What does he do? He wants points. Again, we were nearing the end of the game. I took less pictures. He turned his king into the middle. Why go after the trolls, right? They're not scoring. He throws a fire breath or whatever breath weapon attack on my spitters. He wasn't sure what he was going to do with his magic. He only did 5 damage to the spitters, or 19, 21. So not enough to get him off the table. Then he decided he was going to throw the rest of his stuff into my rabble. And he only did 2 damage. It was another poor. That's the second turn that he did some poor damage to them. And that is the game. So none of my stuff comes off the table. Joe, you reap what you sow. Varangur only has 1 point from his King of Chimera. I have 3 points from the Spitters, 2 points from the Rabble, 1 point from the Troll Bruiser. So I won 6-1. And I think, if we were to score attrition points, I'd probably have, 1 more point of attrition on him, since he only has his 3 heroes left. I mean, they're expensive compared to my heroes. But I have 2 wizards, the Bigot, the Spitters, the Troll Horde, the Troll Bruiser, and a Rabble Regiment. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units on the board to his 3. Okay. What did I think about this game? What did I learn? So, my last battle report, I was talking about how my trombone was my flyer defense. I only had 1 of them. He did not work. He didn't even do that. But my flea bags, they weren't doing huge damage. But he turned off flying for the Chimera. He kept him out of combat for a couple of turns, getting beat up by him, right? 1 attack against him. So I was happy with the flea bags back there. I wasn't flanking with them because by themselves, 14 attacks hitting on 4s with just Thunderous 1, they're not like this amazing flanking machine that other armies have. But that 20-inch range to defend against flyers or maybe any other speedy units trying to flank me, I think they're doing a great job. If that difficult terrain wasn't there, I think I could have, taken the King of the Chimera off the board. 42 attacks, hitting on 21, Thunderous One would have been 10 or 11 wounds. There would have been a really good chance I could have one-shotted him off the board if that terrain wasn't there. So I'm happy with that change. I like that the flea bags back there I think are working as a nice fire protection support unit. Throughout the game, I felt ripples of my poor deployment with my rabble. I mean, I was able to defend the flanks with the rabble or my orcs. So my orcs, they still had a use of the game that they didn't. I felt like this positioning hurt me through the game. It might have caused it wasn't like instead of being charged by his mounted sons. If I forced sort of charge on that rabble instead, and I would have had Gregor's around for one more better spot. So I just need to think a couple turns ahead when I'm deploying so that I can keep my formation together that I want. I can keep my chaff in front. Because had that stuff not been there, I would have had to double everything to 10 inches, and then I would have brought those rabble into the middle. I can't just assume there's going to be no difficult terrain in like the middle quadrant of the board, but I think I could have deployed a little bit better, thinking about the first 2 turns of movement. What did I do poorly? He only had 1 wizard, 1 war engine, and I didn't do anything to them. They harassed me the entire game, and luckily some of his rolls were poor. He zeroed on the giant, and he had 2 attacks where they both attacked my piddly rabble regiment, and wasn't able to get him off the board, mainly because of my Drain Life healing that guy so much, but I didn't do anything to them, so I'm wondering, I've seen a common unit to take would be like a mounted flagot with like Holy Hand Grenade, there it is. And the flagot itself is 20 points, to mount him is 40, what did I say? 40 points, and then the mount him would be, I can look it up real quick, would be 15, bringing him up to 55 points. And then the hand grenade's another 25, so that's 80 points for a unit with speed 20 that is probably going to be ignored, that I could hide in the back or sneak into the rear of my enemy and get like a 50-50 shot of doing 3 wounds to something. A couple turns of that, hitting, mages and war engines, I think it would have been worth the 80 points. I felt like that was missing this game. What about my giant? So, between the last game, my last battle report, and this one, I just, I thought I was going to try the double mincers for a little bit longer, but I said, you know what, I'm missing crushing strength. So I dropped a mincer, I dropped a Maw Beast pack, and I dropped a whiz, and I gave my Rabble Horde crushing strength, the Brew of Strength artifact, and I brought that giant into my army. Joe's opinion is that the giant is a chaff unit. I mean, he's got a high nerve for chaff. It's 17-19, and he's got a small frontage, so it can't really be charged by a whole lot. And I think though that he felt like he was similar to what I'm doing with my mincers, that he's like this support role that after the initial charge, I get him in there for a double charge, right? Because that would have been D6 plus 6, crushing 3, and brutal. And if I could have gotten him in there with one of my hordes or something, I think I could have taken some of those, sons off the board sooner. But I don't know if it was bad positioning on my part, good positioning on Joe's part, which is the likely case. But I wasn't able to get him in there until just the double charge with the troll, which was not super effective, So I don't know if he was scary at all to force Joe to make certain moves. I didn't feel like it was. So he didn't perform like I wanted him to. But I'm going to keep him in the list and see how he does going forward, because I still think there's a place for him. And then the last thing that I feel like I'm starting to do is trying to position my units to control what can charge me. I'm sniffing some more, I apologize, I think it's getting worse. And to make sure that I'm able to double charge. A single charge from one of my hordes we saw in this game, it's not going to take a unit off the board. I need to be able to charge with my hordes of rabble or my goons. I need to be able to have a wizard there, or my bigot with the loot to be able to bane chant, and I need to be able to stick either that mincer or the giant in. And I did not do that this game. I was able to position on the defensive, I think, and make sure that I had like my maw beast on the left to chaff up some stuff, and that worked successfully. I know he was actually just targeted by range, but hey, better him than anyone else. And in the middle, I didn't use my rabble like the chaff I wanted him to. And I tried throwing some individuals in there to block some flanks, but I mean, the great example was Joe's use of that mage, and he was there for 2 full combats that he survived without even being wavered. And it saved a lot of his units 2 turns in a row, because I didn't get the flank charge on the Suns. I did not get the double charge on the Reavers, because he put that unit there, and that guy performed like Superman. So I need to be able to do that. I don't have Superman wizards, but I got a bunch of them. So, I threw away Grogger, which was useful. Maybe I could have done that a little bit more. I mean, I didn't really give up any flanks this game like I normally do. There was a rear charge on the trolls, but I knew that was coming. There was nothing else I could do about it. But, that's what I want to continue to focus on. That's what I want to look for in the next couple of games. And that's it. I don't need to necessarily comment on Joe's army. This was a test build for me. Wanted to test out those Reavers. They underperformed, but I think that was just poor dice rolling. So I imagine that in the future, we're going to see Joe again with Varangur back with some more Reavers. But I think he's gonna change it up probably a little bit. So we'll see. And that is it. That's everything. I was very happy with this game. I mean, clearly because I won, but it just, I think, was a nice tactical game. It had a really good back and forth, and I think I learned a lot. So I'm happy. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.